Welcome to the Armchair Sports Guys for another episode
Fuck you.
14. We're off to a great start here today, folks. We're joined by Mike, Matt, Rich, and myself, GJ. Your host, Sean, is away for today. We are going to be talking about the NFL's Washington football team and, well, the shitstorm in our nation's capital around this team. So we got sort of two topics, and the first one is not even as big as the second one, and the first one's pretty big.
That's what she said.
That's
And that's-
loud. Son of a bitch.
Well,
Son of a bitch.
Fire tonight.
Son of a bitch. I'm so mad I'm going to kick a 2-year-old soccer ball across the street. And I mean I'm going to punt the shit out of it.
well, I don't know if that's legal on the second part either, but on the first part, it's the name change. So if you haven't heard, if you're not on the internets and webs, the Redskins are changing their name. They have been under pressure, agreed, but they've been under pressure for a long time from not just the Native American population here in the U.S., but now more so with this cancel culture that we have here in the U.S. But beyond that, you now have major sponsors that are pulling out of the Redskins and sort of the NFL part of it that are getting involved. And then the one being FedEx, who has the naming rights to the field. Nike, who has the clothing rights and apparel, who on the Nike website has pulled everything Washington Redskins related off their website. You cannot find it at all on their Nike website. I don't know about the NFL. I would say doubt they would for now until things are changed, but Nike has. And then Pepsi has also stepped in and said, we'll remove all sponsorship stuff and whatnot, from here going forward. So where this leaves us, Stern, I'm not Stern.
Snyder.
What?
Snyder?
Snyder, yes, sorry, Daniel Snyder. They're both idiots. So
You're not Daniel Stern, dude.
yeah, but Daniel Snyder has
God rest his soul.
over the decades and long time, he has been very adamant about the name of the Redskins, and it been, nobody really finds it offensive and blah blah blah, and kind of, to be honest, a fucking prick about it. For no real reason other than to be a prick, right? And it's not like his franchise is any good. They've run that thing down for 20 years since he's owned it. I mean, I just being funny off the top of my head, in 10 years they haven't gotten 10 wins. So this team sucks collectively. They were one of the best franchises. I mean, I remember watching them with Theismann and Riggins and the Hogs and as a fans in the end zones, and that was a great franchise to watch. The NFC East was the bomb. I mean, Washington, Dallas, the Giants, Philly. The black and blue division, you got beating the hell out of each other. You know what I mean? It was great. The Cowboys were 8-8, not just because they sucked, but they got their ass kicked, just like everybody else did against their own division opponents. So he's just run this whole thing into the ground, and it's about time. So before we get into the details on this and then what may or may not happen with the name, I want to kind of get your opinions on it. And I'm going to start with Mike because you're up on the top left. So Mike, is it about time that they changed it? Do you care? Give me your quick thoughts on this whole thing.
So I got a few notes, and I want to it's just 3 teams I'm going to bring up: the Redskins, the Indians, and the Blackhawks. Because those are the 3 that are Redskins are kind of flying the flag right now for what is going to be changed and what's not going to be changed. And then I went down to the Blackhawks and the Indians. So let me just read some notes real quick. The Redskins were a football team 1932 to now. They were first the Boston Braves in 32. From 33 to 36, they were the Boston Redskins. From 1937 until present time of 2020, they're the Washington Redskins. Now, the NCAI, the National Congress of American Indians, didn't find it offensive. They didn't find it offensive. They were the national. They were the ones that were looking at this going, we don't find it offensive. It's a name. It's maybe the logo isn't what you'd see. It's like someone putting blackface on. Al Jolson did it for a different reason. But if I put a blackface on, it's like, well, it's a racial thing. The Cleveland Indians, 1915 to present, they were nicknamed after a player named Louis let me get this right. Sauk Alexis of the Pentecost tribe.
Mm-hmm.
That was going back, I don't even know. I was back in the 1800s. The Blackhawks, 1986, have a different. They were the Black Hawks. Then they combined the name in '86 to the Blackhawks. A lot of people back, in years' time, said that's not the name's not offensive, but the mascot is. Now
Right.
going back to the Redskins are I don't know. I mean, am I offended by it? No. It's a name. If I was Native American, if I had heritage, if I had history, and if I didn't have if I had negativity that I saw was bad, it is what it is. But I just find that 83 years, 84 years of a team, doesn't matter if you've played, been ownership, been a partnership, went to the games, supported the team, cheered for the team when they won, cried when the team they lost. It took this long to change something. To me, and now you get the owner, Snyder, the owner, right? Or the man,
correct.
whatever he had, the Snyder, changing everything up. When it took this long to do it, then you get we'll talk about after the guy who bought the names out and, 15 women coming out with sexual harassment. There's a lot more in Washington happening than I think just a team name and a logo change. I mean, do I think it's time? Everyone's changing. Everything's changing now. Maybe it's time they said screw it and just went ahead and change it. Will it change the team? Are they out of the NFL? No. They'll still be in it. They'll still be playing. It's not going to make a difference of what they're called or who they are. But I do think that everybody needs to take a good hard look at what these team names are, what they really represent, and are they really offending people?
Well said.
There's not anybody losing sleep over this. Not saying they shouldn't change it. I don't want to piss anybody off, but then again, no one's losing sleep over it. It's a name. I mean, meet halfway. You know what I mean? These other teams have a history that were putting American Indians up on a pedestal. They were honoring them. These team names were brought up to honor the American Indians, to honor tribes and Native Americans. I mean, so to me, I don't see why I should change it. Keep it the same. Maybe work with them a little bit, put some information out. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can go on forever about this, but that's a little information, some history of the stuff that I researched, and kind of get some timelines. And I just think this cancel culture is done with. I'm over it. Next.
Next.
Is George there? George is on mute.
Oh, I'm on mute. Rich, yeah, sorry. Damn it. Happens to the best of us every time. Rich, your thoughts on this, sir?
Well, I like what you said, Mike. It's the cancel culture is getting a little bit out of control, and it doesn't really hurt anybody, and a lot of people don't seem to mind it. I never really minded it until recently, as I put a little bit more thought into it and into the history of how we've treated Native Americans in this country. And I guess I just feel like at this point, using a name like Redskin, whether it sounds offensive to us and whether Native Americans or whatever, like we did some fucked up shit to these people over the last couple hundred years. We chased them across the country, murdered them because they wouldn't let us have their land. We put their children in schools to scrub the Indian out of them, and we turned them into athletes. And Jim Thorpe is one that comes to mind. He was a celebrated Native American athlete, but the school he came from, they were taken from their tribes, and they were like completely Americanized. So I just, thinking about it a lot, especially, and I don't get caught up in like the hysterical stuff like that people are today, like the cancel culture. I don't give a shit what you did 7 years ago. You know what I mean? Like I don't usually give a shit, but I think at this point when race is such a sensitive topic, like even more sensitive than it's probably been in the last like 40 or 50 years, it might just be time to do away with those old time nicknames and such. It's something that doesn't need to cause trouble, that's going to cause trouble as long as it's around. And I mean, it's at this point, so many people are clamoring for it. I feel like Dan Snyder should just do it and get it over with. I mean, he's going to keep the colors. He's going to change the name. It's still going to be the Washington football team, and people are still going to remember him as the Redskins. But going forward, you know, people will see them with a different name, and it will be a little less divisive, hopefully.
And George, like you said, he was smug about it too. Snyder was really smug about
He's
adamant
been
on not
prick about the whole
Yeah.
thing.
You know-
on not wanting to change the name. So that kind of like,
Yeah.
even though when I said it, it still stands true, and people have for years and years all of a sudden now go, oh my God. But is it because he was being a dick about it? Like if he just shut his fat mouth and just listen, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna change some shit up. So Rich, I do partly agree with that. Yeah, I mean maybe it is time to do it, but I mean if he just didn't say half the shit he said, my God.
Right.
Imagine if it was Robert Kraft. Imagine if Robert Kraft owned the
Yeah.
Redskins. Do you think he'd catch as much shit for it as this dude Snyder's catching?
No, because I don't think Robert Kraft would be that much of an asshole about the
Right.
name itself.
Right.
When even whether it's been a big strong, now you have the companies of Nike, FedEx, and Pepsi behind it that want the change, but Robert Kraft wouldn't have been a prick to anybody who asked about it, and it would have been okay. You know, let's think about it. Are we offending people? And if we are, can I reach out to those people and get a confirmation that yes, it's okay? Can I maybe set up a relief fund that 1% of our profits or whatever it is goes to Native American, college funds or something to that effect, which, the Redskin name, if you just take the name Redskin, it's kind of offensive. You know what I mean? It's not really, it's a derogatory slur. So it's not really the greatest thing, but if at least you can mend the fences on the other end, which I think, because Bob Kraft seems to be a good, smart businessman and not an idiot like Schneider, I think he could have worked with the companies or the Native Americans and anybody else who wanted the name changed. And if the cancel culture like we have now has come up, then he would have had the Native American backing behind him and say, no, this isn't offensive to us because this is what he's doing for us as a people, as a community, as an organization, as, you know what I mean? And that's why I think Daniel Snyder just doesn't get it, because he's a prick. But Matt, I want to get to your thoughts on this as well before we get into the naming rights crap, which is funny in and of itself.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I thought what both you guys said was great. I mean, the only, and my good job of like coming up with that name and the history of all three of the Indians, the Blackhawks, and the Redskins. I can only tell you from an experience I had in high school where my teacher, a white person, got on this topic, and it's just like saying that the Washington Redskins, it is a racist term that he coined, that he said that it was a racist term. It'd be like calling the New York Knicks the New York N-words. Right. Only he actually said the actual word, which was shocking.
Right.
So that's not everyone's opinion. Right. That is not everyone's opinion. I just came across this article written by a Native American, and it was coined by colonists. It's coined by white people. There's also other slurs out there, prairie N-word that they've been called. I mean, so it's different. And this guy goes on a rant on the Independent, some article. I literally just came across this, written last August, and it literally says, white people, stop telling Native Americans like me whether we are offended by the Washington Redskins.
Right.
So it's, how? What are you gonna do? Is this it's either racist or it's not racist. Some people call it for pride. This wasn't a tribe, but I mean, there's other tribes out there that probably hate fellow tribes, just like I don't know, the Italian Americans and the Irish Americans have that little funky history, but there's going to be gangs that hate
Italians.
But there's going to be gangs that hate gangs. I mean, there's going to be that are African American or they're white. You know what I mean? It's so you're really it's going to take what, 1932, so 90 plus years. Call me out on my math.
Yeah.
We have to change it.
Yeah.
Because of why?
Well, and that's my point.
Why do we have to change it?
You get generations, and I hate to say the word history because that's like the cancel thing now. History is has been brought up so much. It's being thrown so much. To me, that lost its meaning. But let's say history for a second. This team has been, we'll say 90 years. We'll round up. 90 years this team has been in. Not saying there hasn't been one person every year who's just been like, oh my God, my great-great-great-grandfather and the tribe hated the name Redskins. Hated it from the beginning. Hated it. And then my great-great-grandfather from the same tribe who took over his role hated the name. So you may have a family or a generation that's go on and on and on that has been wanting to try to change it. But the majority of people,
Right.
probably in the same tribe, was going. I mean, I can't speak for them. I don't know what that's like. Having us
What,
as
you're going to call them the Washington Native Americans? Like,
right. So
Yeah.
I just think that is it time to change? I mean, you're Rich. I can agree with that, but my question is to anybody with whether it's this topic, whether it's political topic, whether it's out in the world topic or your own personal topic, why now? Why
exactly.
wasn't it
Why
25,
now?
30 years ago? Why is
Right.
why is this moment the moment where everyone goes, okay,
Well,
change everything around?
I-
And I know
well,
why, but
Yeah.
Well,
it's
the Red
more
Sox changed Jockey Way.
Yeah.
right.
And they
Right,
did
and
that
That
a
was
few
an
years ago. Yeah.
iconic money-making name, and they changed it. I mean,
Right.
change can be made.
Because he was racist as F.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
And
he
that's
was the one who
exactly why.
he threw Jackie Robinson off of one of his very first tryouts. You know, and I mean Jackie Robinson could have been a Red Sox if
Right.
you know Tom Yawkey wasn't such a racist prick.
we could have
but-
had Willie Mays too.
Yeah.
Then you look at
He's tried out.
but then you get teams like the Boston Bruins who had Willie O'Ree, the first
Exactly.
African American hockey
and,
player.
and the Celtics,
the
who had Bill
Celtics.
Russell, the first
Bill Russell.
African American coach.
So
you know?
so there's
Yeah.
there's teams that have done stuff, and these teams. I mean, you can look back in the history of the Redskins, Indians, and the other teams that have these connotations, and they've reached out. I think, and don't quote me on this, but I think the Indians were one of the major teams, and the Redskins at first, and the Blackhawks have definitely done this. That have reached out to local tribes in the area, in their city, and asked, what can we
Yeah.
do? Let's work with you. Let's do lessons. If a fan who's a season ticket holder spending $15,000 a year, that's spending money, what can we do to let them know that it's not just about a ticket? This
Right.
is what the name. So you're buying into a whole thing, which I like. I mean, and most of them do. But why aren't teams like, I hate to say the Bruins and the Celtics, but there's teams that have done good that don't get the recognition that they should be getting.
Well, you were mentioning it, man. I'm going to get to you in just a second. I want to touch on the Indians thing real quick. The Indians got rid of the Chief Wahoo logo
Right.
3 to 5 years ago or
Yeah,
so.
that's a
So
long
they
time.
and that, I'm not offended by it because I'm not Native American,
Right.
but I also understand that that's not necessarily what you want to represent in this day and age. Now,
Right.
granted, sucks that we live in the times we are. That is just dumb as hell, and it sucks.
Is what it is, yeah.
But it is what it is, and if that's the way that the world is dictating, then that's fine. I'm fine with it. You know, but I mean, and there's also teams like the Florida Seminoles that
Right.
their whole they
That's
are
named
working
after a tribe. Am I
right,
wrong?
correct,
Right,
but they are
right.
working in conjunction with the Florida Seminoles tribe to promote them, to give to their culture, to bring their culture to us. Like there's a whole bunch of that stuff that's going on there. So I'm with you, you know. You know, I get it, guys. I really do. Rich, I know you got to jump off real quick, so I appreciate you taking the time. Any quick final thoughts on this topic? I know you're not going to be here for the naming and anything else, but
As it comes, I mean, like I said, like it doesn't really offend me either. The tomahawk chop doesn't, Chief Wahoo didn't, and I know there's a lot of natives that say it doesn't offend them, but the look now at the point we've reached in society, it looks bad. And instead of just having something that's going to constantly be a magnet for, you know, turmoil, and it's going to constantly come up in the news cycle, at this point, just maybe offer to have Native Americans pick the next name. What do you think we should be called? Give them
Good idea.
right of first refusal to come up with a name. Maybe keep the logo or make it, you know, I don't know, maybe make it less of a I can't say that word. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Cat scratch?
But, you know, like something like that. And if not, then just, you know, the Washington Warriors. I know that crackpot in Alexandria probably owns that name too, but, you know.
He doesn't
Something like
actually.
that.
I was going to get to my next thing.
Yeah. All right. Well,
So,
dude, sorry
all
I
right.
got to roll. Sorry for the wet blanket with my sad history lesson, but
That's all right. No, we love it.
I like it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
good luck, troops.
Hey, buddy.
Appreciate you.
You guys.
So our history teacher, Rich, is signing off. But I
Mr.
will.
Ricks.
Yeah, let me see. Can I stop his? No, I don't want to.
Struggling.
Yeah, that's all
Hey,
right.
welcome back, Rich. Hey, Rich, what's your
Hey!
thoughts on? Oh, he's gone.
There we
Oh.
So there we are. So that leads me to where he was talking about that crackpot out in Alexandria. So there's this guy. If we're talking about, naming rights, what would you come up with names? And I heard one that was Red Tails, and I think that's the perfect one because it's named after the Tuskegee Airmen. You're honoring, so you really take the spin of being racial slur towards Native Americans to being a positive image and remembering the Black or African American heroes of past, wars. Again, the Tuskegee Airmen were phenomenal. You know what I mean? It's like, not that any other fighting part of the militaries or names and stuff aren't, but they're well known. I mean, a full movie was made out of them. It's a big deal, So I like that. Red Tails, that's what they would nickname. I think that's brilliant. Another name, the Americans. Okay, not bad.
So wait,
the Renegades.
You're gonna take
and
which
or
I know where you're
the
going with
Renegades.
this.
Americans
Hold
have
on.
been offended by this. You're gonna take be like, okay, fuck you, buddy.
We'll drop the name and add the American.
It's American, and it's gonna be like Captain America, like as the logo.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Give me just a
I
picture.
see your name and I drop and I raise you 10.
Perfect. Here's what we're gonna do: keep the colors and just put a picture of Captain America's ass, because that's America's ass,
Yeah.
right? It says their new logo is just Captain
Hank
America's
Williams
ass.
Jr. on the front of the logo.
Yeah, right. Perfect. So anyway, let me get to this lunatic. So it's he's an actuary, and he does like legal stuff. I don't know. He's done like real estate. He does whatever. His name's Philip Martin McCauley. He's a 61-year-old guy, right? And surprisingly, a Washington Redskins fan.
Of course.
He's a trademark squatter. So what he's done for his hobby, and it's a pretty expensive hobby, by the way, as a hobby, he's gotten trademarks for a bunch of different names for multiple teams. So it's not just the Redskins per se. I think he's hit on like the Indians. I think he might have hit on the Braves. But I know from a Washington Redskins fans, he's hit on them. He's bought about 40 of these trademark names, websites, and you have to buy merchandise. He's bought shirts, he's bought mugs, he's bought little stickers, whatever, to show that he wants to do something with it, because that's what you need to do when you trademark something.
I was gonna say,
You gotta prove that.
Yep.
So he's done that on 40 or so names.
Is it 44 or 40?
40, 44. And
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
once you're above one or two, you're kind of a lunatic about it. And this is
Yes.
just with, I think, the Redskins he's done that. He's done it for a number of different ones.
Can you imagine the people he told this to and they went, dude, you're fucking crazy. And they went, he goes, you watch, you see what I do.
Well, here's the funny thing. In 2015, when he bought some of these, he was hoping to secure a bounty for him, obviously from Daniel Snyder when he bought them. That was his whole thought process. He sent a letter out when he bought these to the NFL, said he was going to give it to the NFL, quote unquote, for free after 10 days. Now he said
was his letter cut out other letters of magazines?
It was either, I think it was an yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. It might have been either in an email or a letter he'd sent. But now he's hired a lawyer, and he will wait to, quote, entertain any offer they want to make, unquote. And again, some of the names include Red Tails, Americans, Renegades, Red Hawks, Warriors. They didn't get because it got denied when he went to buy it, and it was available. It was denied versus the trademark, but it's still available, and Daniel Snyder has not yet picked it up. So my guess is the Warriors is going to be completely out, which I think is perfectly okay because it's still very, 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 very close to the Redskins. And if you really want to be a prick, you call them the Warriors, and then, you're just,
that's opening a whole other door. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts quickly on this trademark squatter? And I'm going to be honest, I think it's funny-ish. I mean, you want to spend that type of money or whatever. I mean, it's not that it's too expensive, a couple $100, but you're doing it, multiple times, it's going to add up.
Adds up, yeah.
But what are your feelings on this? And I'm going to go in reverse order. So I'm going to hit on Matt right now. So Matt, start us off. What are your thoughts on this guy? Lunatic? Smart? What?
I think he just got lucky. I,
100%.
yeah, I mean,
casino
he never
jackpot.
He never knew that this was gonna happen. Like the name, the name change and then buying up all these rights. And I mean that's like playing the lottery, 10 times in your life. You're not really an avid player. Every time you go in the gas station, you don't really buy a ticket. And you just say, fuck it. Let me just do this. $100. Who cares? And then you strike gold. So I think this guy is, my opinion, a moron. Yes, he's a psycho. But kudos to him. He's like, holy shit, it actually worked. It's like,
puts the name on the jersey or it gets the hose again.
Yeah, right. For about $300, he can make a 6-figure deal.
Right. So I mean, it's like the movie Tommy Boy where they get pulled over and it's like bees in the car, bees everywhere. Like yourself.
I'm allergic.
The cops pull away, right? And then Tommy Boy's just, holy shnikes, it worked.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's very uneducated, and he's
I mean, smart guy for doing it, and it was a hobby in that sense. But dude, what are you doing? Mike, your quick thoughts on that?
So I got two quick ones. Matt, that's you're right. This guy hit the fucking jackpot. This is just
he did. Good for him. Like,
I mean, he could have spent $100,000, and I'm probably way above. But say $100,000 he spent for all these years that he can finally come back and say, I can get one. So two things will happen. One, Washington's look at this guy and say, we ain't using anything you have. We're going a whole other route. You've just wasted all of your time and resources. We're going to go another way. And if they don't do it, pardon my French, they're fucking assholes. You're going to take a name from a guy who lives in probably a one-bedroom apartment. No offense to the apartment goers here. A one-bedroom apartment. That's just writing names. What can I do? Constantly writing names to go. They'll pick one. Have them say, okay, we have a whole legal team. We have a marketing team. We're going to pay a guy for a name.
Yeah, but I guess all the names that they really want, because they're keeping the colors there, all the names that they really want are exactly what he is. So ordered. This guy was smart as a fox, right? I mean,
of course. I mean, there's no denying he's got him where he wants.
But who knew that in this cancel culture would actually happen, and that Daniel Snyder would actually almost be forced to make these changes.
Right.
And this may be also based on the bombshell of what we're going to talk about next too. So point number two.
And point number two on this one, so a guy I work with, I'm going to give him a shout out now, Art McDermott, good guy, very smart. He made a good point about this. We talked about this at work. He made a good point. He said, what if Washington comes back and says, we're going to use our name. We're going to take a name that you've come up with. We're going to use it. Fuck you. Nothing you can do about it.
No, they can't. No, that's the thing is, technically speaking, if you trademark it and it's in trademarked in a federal, like through the trademark, you've done everything right, there's nothing Daniel Snyder can do. Not a damn thing.
But if he had a hair across his ass and says, you want to sue me? You can sue me. Fine.
Doesn't matter. No, because Daniel Snyder, if this guy sues Daniel Snyder, that 6-figure deal turns into a 7 or 8 figure deal.
7 or 8,
Easily.
If you
easily.
own
Because
the trademark.
And not only that, just because of the simple fact that it's not like it's a mom and pop store or it's a major business in that sense that has like stores or office space that they're operating. This is a major NFL entity. I don't care what lawyers they have. You get that legally trademarked and you own the rights to it because you've paid for all of it. Daniel Snyder cannot do anything because here's the other problem with that. If they say, screw you, we're going to take the name of the Red Tails and they start putting out, merchandise and logos and names, you might as well give this guy the entire NFL. You might as well just sell him the whole NFL because not only can he sue Daniel Snyder personally, he could sue the Redskins or whatever, they change the name to. He can sue the NFL. He can literally own anything he wants.
I look at how
I don't care how many lawyers they have.
How sneaky, not just much lawyer, but how sneaky and how much money these guys have and how backstabbing, especially someone like Goodell is, and that's a whole other topic. But I look at this and them saying, we're going to bring this guy to court. We're prepared to spend X amount of millions of dollars because of a principle, just out of pure principle. Tom Brady deflated a ball. Oh my God. we're gonna do it just for pure principle, just try to screw somebody over.
Yeah, it ain't
I
gonna
don't care.
matter.
I don't care what
I
they
don't care
do.
I don't care how little this 61 this 61
It's
Philip Martin McCauley doesn't matter.
to me, it's just. I think there's more to this story behind to what the people like all of us are looking at. I think there's more under the pages of inside the top page here that all of a sudden now they're changing the name and logo. This guy comes out of nowhere and has 44
Yeah, but
names.
except but he's bought them over
Starting
the
with
course.
his first one, the Washington Pigskins.
Yes, the Washington
That's
Redskins.
that's how crazy he is.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But
I just think there's more to it. I think there's more.
Hold on,
story.
Mike. I'll tell you, there's really not much more because of the fact that this guy's been doing this for years, almost decades. Like it's going back from beyond 2015. So it's not
But
like
where
all
is
of a
he
sudden.
living though?
Same place. He's a Redskins fan, so he goes. He has season tickets. He lives in Virginia and travels to DC. Yeah, Alexandria. He lives in DC and travels to
So
DC.
you don't think it's very odd that the timing of this, not to change the name and logo.
No.
All of a sudden, the timing of this is we're trying to change the name and logo.
No, they're trying to change the name and logo, but this guy has held on to these for a decade or whatever. 5 years at least. He's held on to these. He bought them years ago. He's owned them years ago.
So, but why wasn't he anywhere for years and years? Because
he doesn't care. Okay, so think of it this way.
Almost
right?
like he knew they were going to change the name at some point.
Yeah, well, yes, because again,
a conspiracy theory guy.
Well, because,
a 90-year.
Exactly.
This is a 90-year wait. If a guy's buying something for past 30, 40 years,
he hasn't. No, he hasn't. No. See, Mike, that's the thing is he's bought them. I know that he said it was from 2015. So you figure 5 years ago he started buying these. You can easily say that it's been 5 to 10 years where there's been rumblings that the Redskins name needs to get changed. Almost every year for the past 2 or 3 years in the NFL season, there's always, once the season starts up again, are the Redskins this year going to change their name? Are the Redskins this year? This the year they change their name?
From my story in high school. So
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so
20 years ago.
This has been something that the name has been changed. This guy was smart and advantageous and bought all the names, but he, like I said, he squatted on them. I mean, what does a squatter do? If I were to come and live in your house when you left, you say you left the house,
God, that
go
would
to
be
France,
awful.
it would be fantastic. It would smell awesome. If you and your girl went to go France to live in France for 6 months, right? And I knew I could break into your and I knew doesn't matter. I knew I could break into your house and I could live there scot-free for 6 months, and you didn't know about it. I'm not telling anybody. I'm squatting on your house, but I'm not telling anybody about it. So why the hell would this guy come out of the woodwork back then? Now he did send emails and information to the NFL and to the Redskins to offer to give them to him free or whatnot, and says you get 10 days to respond and they'll be free. But he did that already. They never responded because at that time there wasn't the
they didn't give a shit. They didn't
know. So he was on. I'm going to tell you this. Hold on, let me finish. For fact, he's been doing this for years. The only reason his name is coming up now and is becoming a person of interest, for lack of a better way of putting it, is because the Redskins now are, quote unquote, being forced to change the name.
Right.
So that's the only reason this guy, it's not like this guy all of a sudden said, holy shit, they might be changing the name, has insider information, and then 2 weeks ago bought all these things. He's been doing this for a long time.
I'll go on record now that if the Redskins, I'm going to call them that because right now that's the name until it's changed. But if the Redskins come out and they say we're changing our name and our logo and we're going with this name that this fella had, we're going to pay him for it. I will never watch football again. I will lose all faith.
Well,
I will
guess
lose.
What?
No.
I'll lose. Oh no, hold on. I'll lose all faith.
I'll
lose all faith that this is a professional team in one of the 4 major sports in the history of fucking sports. One of the 4 major teams, one of the biggest money-making teams out of all the 4 sports, chooses 60. Used to be right. Chooses a guy with one of 44 names, and they don't have an office full of people, marketing people, promo people, production people that come back and say, we can get a better name. We can choose a better name. We can use something here. We got to go through this guy. This one guy is holding us on. No. If they do that, they're fucking deserve what they get. They should just pack it up, say we had a good 90-something year run, and call it a day.
Well,
because that'd be absolutely
can't fold the franchise.
No, you can't fold the franchise. It's a multi-billion-dollar franchise. I don't care how shitty they're run.
Good, and then they should have a production team and a staff thinking, we're gonna get a better name. We're not using this guy. We're not going through this fucking psychopath.
Okay, but the problem is, if you're keeping your colors the same, Now you're literally limiting yourself to the names and logos and images and things that you are going to want to
The
use.
Bruins are black and gold, and the Bruins
Yes.
is a brown bear.
Yes, but originally
Well,
they were
they
just
used to
the
have
black and
brown
gold.
in
Yeah,
it was
correct.
just brown and
Used
gold.
to, but it's changed.
Yes,
so why
but
not?
it's-
Why do you got
Right,
to keep
but
the same colors?
Also, you
I'm
own
not-
the rights to those colors too.
correct.
That's another thing. Every single it's always like weird shit that I found out.
Right. No, I understand that. Yeah.
So the Redskins own those colors, so they can still change the name, change the logo, but they have to keep those colors.
Yeah.
So
But
you can't get. Go ahead. Sorry.
they wanted like a different color, they would have to same thing. There's probably some asshole right now buying up fucking colors.
So you
Like,
got
this shade of pastel blue or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
so you get brown, yellow, and white. You can't get another name off those three. So those three colors. Everything I'm trying to say, everything's locked into this one guy.
Well, what if
Yes,
back to your point, what if you ask the Native Americans in the area, hey, help us out, come up with a better name, and this guy has it.
Yeah.
And the Native Americans say, no, we want this name. We want the Warriors. We want the.
I would feel more confident if they randomly come out and said, "We're going to do the Warriors." And this guy goes, "Oh, that's my second one."
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, fine. Then
Yeah.
you have random people that are coming up. But if you got a whole crackpot of people that are coming up with names and logos and colors and all this stuff,
Well, I
Why
might
is
start
this-
doing it.
Yeah.
this guy.
I think the Bruins are offending the Bears.
Yeah.
as a bearded man myself, I don't want to say I'm in the bear region, but you know.
No, I listen. I'm with
I
you. I
mean,
mean, this
gonna
guy.
call
I'm
him
just
a
jealous.
Washington ginger.
No, I mean, hey.
I'm jealous that a fucking psychopath comes up with names and he's being talked about as going, wow, this could be a huge. You go to a casino and put $1 in it for $1 million.
That's pretty
Dude,
much
that's
you
what
go to
exactly
cas-
what he did. But
yeah.
according to George, he already offered to, hey, you can
Yeah, he
have
gave him a
these things back.
10-day thing. He responded to me
Yeah,
in
that
10
wasn't
days.
gonna get nowhere.
I'll
Yeah,
give
that
you free.
was-
Which
yeah.
again, you do that in 2015, 2016, 2018, even 2019. They weren't going to change it until what's happened now. So I think
my
that's a
take. I'm
great
now
segue.
mad.
I think that's a great segue, which leads us to the bigger problem in DC. And that
Don't
is
you say it. Don't say
Washington
anything about
Covet.
it.
that was the well, yeah, but that's besides the whole political realm in DC, and that includes everybody in that region because they're all assholes.
So I have the
Beyond
Washington
that-
Sandusky's as a team. Is that
Be-
not going to go very far? Should I
Yeah,
get rid of that one?
probably not.
The
Probably
Washington J. Sandusky's.
not. Well, that
The
actually,
Epsteins.
I'll be honest with you. You could go with either one of those two because here's what came down the pipeline, and this were rumors and scuttlebutt all over the interwebs in regards to the Washington Redskins, and what the Washington Post put out yesterday was an expose on the culture of the Redskins itself, and it is a sexual harassment problem that's run rampant through the organization. So I'm going to read just you kind of a little, couple blurbs, and I'm going to go on a few things, read some stuff. I'll let you guys talk about it in a minute. 15 females, all ex-Redskin employees, told the Washington Post that they were sexually harassed in some way, shape, or form over the course of them working there. This account happened from 2006 all the way to 2019. So it covers a long time. Emily Applegate, the only one who spoke without anonymity, was a marketing coordinator for the Redskins before leaving in 2015, said, and let me pull this up here and quote, she said, "It was the most miserable time of my life, and we all tolerated it because we knew if we complained, and they reminded us of this, there were 1,000 people out there who would take our job in a heartbeat." And the story goes on to say that the accusations of the team found out 3 employees were involved with these inappropriate behaviors. Washington's longtime radio voice, Larry Michael, who retired abruptly on Wednesday, and the team director of pro personnel, Alex Santos, was recently fired with 2 names mentioned in the allegations. Michael was reportedly made comments about a female's colleague's appearance in a sexual manner, and on 2018, he was caught on a hot mic talking about a college-age intern's physical features. Santos, on the other hand, was reportedly accused by 6 former employees and 2 reporters who cover the team of making inappropriate remarks about their bodies and asking them if they were romantically interested in him, according to the newspaper.
God, what a dirtbag.
Hold on. Richard
God.
Mann, who is a former assistant director of pro personnel, said in a text message, which was required by the Post, that he and his colleagues debated whether or not a female employee's breast had been improved by a surgical procedure. Mann was also fired last week by the team. And I want to read these. So this is a conversation between Richard Mann, the second, former assistant director of pro personnel, and a former female Redskins employee, not Emily Applegate. She was the only one who came out publicly and said this. The other women were not allowed to be released. So, what is it? Let me pull this back. According to the Post, the team declined a request to release 15 of the former female employees from a non-disclosure agreement so they could speak on record. So I know that there are a lot of things, and I'm going to get to the reading things in a minute, but there are a lot of things that for non-disclosure that come out, but and especially in companies, and I get that. But man, the fact that you're not going to release these women to go on record to be able to say that. And again, I'll quickly get to this conversation between Mann. He says, "Nice shirt." She says, "Thanks." She goes, "Haha," or "LOL, thanks." She goes, "LOL, sorry, inside joke. It's a compliment." She's, "What's the joke?" "Nothing, it's stupid. You look great today, that's all." She goes, "I want to be in on these jokes." He says, "Lame boob joke." She goes, "I figured that much." He said, "No offense, sorry. Real or fake is the debate." What? Next one, "Bring me food. I hurt. Haha," she says. "Okay," he said, "do you want Jimmy John's?" She responds, "OMG, I love the beach club." He responds, "If I bring you that, I want to squeeze your butt. Deal?" She goes, no, LOL. He goes, "LOL, there's like 15 places within a mile from where you are." She goes, "I don't want to get out of bed." He goes, "Oh, I see. I suppose I can deliver. It's kind of far. Do you tip the food delivery guy?" Another one, he goes, "You are very demanding."
Ooh, what a witty line. What a witty flirt line that is. Hey,
Right,
wink,
yeah.
wink, nudge, nudge.
Right? He goes, "You are very demanding." She goes, "Haha, I'm hungry. Was supposed to have family lunch, but granddad couldn't get out of his neighborhood." He goes, "That sucks. I'm squeezing your ass, ... Sorry, LOL." She responds, "Nope." He says, "That's not even a big deal. It's like innocent. I'll text you when I get back over that ways. I'll pick you up something, G." So
That's. Can I
listen,
just chime in here on that conversation?
yeah.
That
after
just
that,
seems
hustler review.
yeah, that's to me that I don't know those two individuals, but I'm going to tell you right now that a lot of people meet their significant others, and I'm not defending the Redskins here or that organization, but a lot of people meet their significant others at work. There's a large percentage. That to me seems like a little bit of flirting, and you can't read the meaning in a text message.
Right,
Granted, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
But that to me, like, I mean, that happens all the time as far as like when coworkers flirt with each other. And
always.
But that's a little bit more than flirting.
Okay,
And
but she still wants him to pick up food and joking around about it, right?
That was my
She would have said something else, George, like, "I feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean?" Or report it or anything. Or if she's afraid to lose her job, then maybe she's not that offended.
Yeah, but hold on. Again, Applegate, and again, I'll read the quote. "It was the most miserable experience of my life, and my guess is the other 15 feel the same, or the other 14 feel the same based on the fact that they, this is, on anonymity, but they've still corroborated this, and again, the other part of the quote by Applegate is this, quote, "And we all tolerated it because we knew if we complained, and they reminded us of this, there were 1,000 people out there who would take our job in a heartbeat." So I know what you're saying. It seems harmless, but there's
what if they hooked up? What if those two hooked up? Oh, now she's going to say, I only hooked up to him to keep my job? Come on.
There's a big name that's kind of gone on that I think has started, say this is part of that Me Too movement. Because I would feel I mean, Maddie, if your girl came over to you and said, "Hey, I'm at work and some guy was been texting me. We get along well. He's a VP." And I personally myself, I won't name names of the company. One of my previous companies I worked for, I saw a vice president sexual harass a girl who was fired for complaining. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah, that happens too.
But and this is a Harvey Weinstein sort of deal. And I'll say his name because
Damn it, Mike! I already had his name written down.
Sorry, this is a you listen to me. You do what I say because I'm me and you're you. Whether you like it or not, you're just a two tits a hole in a heartbeat walk around the halls here. And I'm the most deviant person you can look at, and it's horrible to say.
Matt Lauer, throw him in that convo.
All these people that are just, and people come back and go, well, the woman waited for 30, 40 years. And even I said that. But what if they did this? What if they fit into it? What if they, at the end of the day, they were getting a.
Yeah, but to comment on that woman's boobs for no reason. I mean, granted.
No, I'm going to agree with that. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
they were being abused.
Don't get me wrong. I'm sure all of us as guys are.
Right.
We're all guilty of doing that. I'm not going to say that I'm
I
not
tell you in the
stone.
workplace, I've never commented on a person's breast.
No, but you're not doing it in a text message to them, right? You're not
I'm not doing it verbally or in a text, though.
No,
I'm not saying, hey, your ass looks great today.
That's what I mean.
George, you know me. I don't. It takes an awful good goddamn lot to try to offend me, and you got to really, really, really be proactive and really try to hurt me and my family. And even then, I'm like, did they deserve it? Like, I kind of see.
Yeah.
If Erin came to me and said, she doesn't work for a company, but work for an office and said, some guy keeps grabbing my ass, and he keeps telling me if I say something, I'm gonna get fired, I'm gonna lose my job, and he puts the fear of God in me. Places would burn. It wouldn't even be a thought. It would just be write the guy up. He'll get he'll have
go to HR. Go to HR with that comment.
Do you know what? Take it. Fine. We'll find you something else.
But HR works for the company, not for the
individual. And that's my next. That's my next and kind of
HR has a responsibility, and if they don't,
right, and then you'll
boom, they're gone.
That's where I think this is the biggest thing is these women brought, and there's more into the story that I've read that the women brought this up to HR, and they were told, well, there's the door if you don't really like it, in so many words, or didn't one woman
HR.
right, but one woman was brought up, and then after she was put on a performance plan to kind of harass her from bringing these comments up further. So
you have 30 days to do this.
Yeah, there's a lot, and that's the thing is, that's the problem. That's what I have. Now, I know a lot of people have been saying that Daniel Snyder should get fired over this, and there's a majority ownership that are trying to pull out of the Redskins for this and the name thing and various reasons, and this is all happening now. But this is if this is a bombshell. To me, and I know that in the NFL, there is, and this is what Brady pretty much got busted for, was conduct detrimental to the league. And that is in the same thing when it goes for players as it goes for owners. Right. We haven't heard what's going to go on with the Bob Kraft thing. We haven't finished that out yet and whatnot from the Orchids of Asia thing, down in Florida. But when that thing gets finalized in the court,
other beast.
Right? But when that thing gets finalized in the court, I would not be surprised if Goodell puts a ruling out for let's call it the Brady ruling. First 4 games, you can't come into the stadium. You can't have any part of the first or of the 4 games or whenever he does it, because they're trying to set a precedent about conduct detrimental to the team.
I just look.
If I'm an owner. I want to do what they do, sort of what they did with Steve. The guy from the Clippers, because Palermo's now owns him. But they told the guy, you can't come to the team, you can't go, you can't be part of it, you have no contact, you're not allowed to, and you're banned for life from any state.
Did he die?
I don't know. No, I think he's still alive.
What guy are we talking about here?
The guy who owned the LA Clippers that had the racial slur against his players and stuff was caught on a hot mic with it and was recorded. Yeah, he was literally told he couldn't be. He was no longer on the board, so you're no longer a board member in the NBA, because that's pretty much what you are as the owner, right? You're on a board for the commission. commissioner. You can't go to any of the stadiums. You're banned for life from every NBA arena. You're banned from your own team, day-to-day activities and everything, and made his life such a living hell. He just sold it. And it sold it for billions of dollars, but pennies on the dollar compared to what he could have gotten if he wasn't a dick, right?
Right, but
I have a
that's
feeling
that's different. That's like
Yeah,
I don't
but-
ever want to talk
but
to that
he-
guy again. Get the fuck out of here, Robert
True.
Kraft.
Robert,
goes
no,
into-
Robert
that's
Kraft
totally
shouldn't get that
different.
either. But,
No.
but Schneider, I would not be surprised if the NFL squeeze him out, not force him because they can't. Because you mean to tell me that the team down in
That would be
Texas
bullshit if
that
they
has
did that.
the team down in Texas that has the star on their side of the helmet? You really think that owner wants the NFL coming in and investigating things at all?
Daniel Snyder woke up one day and
Do
said,
you really want to hear? Hold on, Mike. Do you really want to hear what happened up in Minnesota on the boat trips up there and with Jermaine Wiggins? No team wants an investigator to come in and investigate at all. So
No.
the owners don't want to fire Schneider, but I would be willing to bet they want to force him out, and that they say this is conduct detrimental to the team. You cannot be a part of this ownership group anymore, and they ostracize him and force him to sell that team, whether he changes the name or not, because his adamant about changing the team name and the fact that offensive or however you want to put it. Now this coming out, even if he didn't physically do anything, or verbal
it's
abuse,
his crew.
He's
It's
the
his
fucking
crew.
captain. He's
the
with
name.
the helm on the wheel.
He's gonna make sure his
now-
guys are doing things that are respectful, and if they're not, he knows about it,
Yep.
or he's covering up, or he's lying about it.
Exactly.
That's it.
So-
and that's why he woke up one day going, "Oh my God, I own the Redskins. This is what I've always wanted." On a Monday, on a Tuesday, he's waking up going, "I gotta change the name and the logo. I got that. I don't
have
want this
15
anymore."
women,
Yeah.
accusing my
Yeah.
staff.
And then on
Yeah.
Wednesday, I have
Sexual
15
harassment.
women. Then Thursday, I'm fired.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised if you see that. And my feeling toward it is because if you look at the history of what he's had with his arrogance toward the thing, the fact for 20 years,
Right.
they have been one. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, Tampa Bay sucks." I'm like, I kind of wear this thing up, sort of purpose. Yeah, they sucked. And their ownership group is not the greatest. I mean, the same guy who owns Man U, I should say. So obviously I'm a little jaded being a Liverpool fan, But that aside, the Redskins were. Now, Tampa Bay's never been a marquee franchise, ever. But Washington has been around so long and has had such good players, history, tradition, championships, so on and so forth, that they are one of those marquee franchises and used to be one of the biggest marquee franchises in the NFL. And this guy has taken that and turned them into absolute dog shit. Not even hot dog shit. We're talking the stuff that's been frozen from the wintertime that you can't scrape off the sidewalk. That's how terrible this guy has brought this team. So to be honest with you, if I'm a Washington fan, if I'm a season ticket holder, if I'm a shareholder, if I'm an owner, if I'm a guy in the concessions, if I'm somebody doing it, I want this owner gone, because I need a new owner to come in, have a better light, better team name, if that's the way I feel about that, a better image for this team, and bring this team back to the glory that it was that I remember watching growing up. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm traumatized from doctors and shit, I watched Joe Theismann get his leg snapped off in half, pretty much, beaten with it from
LT.
Lawrence Taylor. Okay, I watched that shit live, and they zoomed in on it like, "Oh, look it! You could see his leg
If
breaking out
Theismann
of his
just
sock."
didn't stop running, he'd be
And-
fine.
Yeah, well, that's fair, but no, Theismann didn't have a chance to run. LT
No,
caught him on the
LT's like, he
blind
was getting
side.
it, yeah.
Hence
He was
why the
getting it.
movie The Blind
Yeah,
Side.
he was fucked.
But but that's the thing is, I watched the bone stick out of the sock with the leg, and I'm like, and I'm like 5, and I'm like, holy shit! All right, I was 15, but I was still like, yuck, this is gross. So you had him, you had Riggins, you had such iconic people playing for that team and that franchise, and he's taken that and thrown it to shit. If this team was good, if this team was a Super Bowl contender, yeah, the Redskins name's offensive. But do you really think people are going to be all pissed off at it if they're America's team like the Cowboys are, or the new America's team like the Patriots are? And I say that from a standard of championships and level of excellence.
I think the Redskins
Maybe.
are this team, the name change, everything else. I think was kind of going nice and even, nice and
Mhm.
flat. Okay, we'll do that. And then this came out of nowhere and just fucking catapulted them going, okay, nope, we've tried. Change your fucking name. Change.
Well,
Now we don't care about anything else. We don't care about them or this. Change your name or you're gone. That's what I think is going to be next.
And here's the other thing that really pisses me off. I'm going to read this. This is a statement from owner. This is a statement from Daniel Schneider. And there's another one coming up after, which to me contradicts it. And I just still don't understand how he's so fucking clueless. Statement from Daniel Schneider, quote, "The behavior described in yesterday's Washington Post article has no place in our franchise or society. This story has strengthened my commitment to setting a new culture and standard for our team, a process that began with the hiring of Coach Rivera earlier this year. Beth Wilkinson and her firm are empowered to do a full, unbiased investigation and make any and all requisite recommendations. Upon completion of our work, we will institute new policies and procedures and strengthen our human resource infrastructure to not only avoid these issues in the future, but most importantly, create a team culture that is respectful and inclusive of all." Holy shit, is that a load of crap? The first fucking sentence.
What do you want him to say, though? He has to say
No, I
that
understand.
shit.
No, I get it. I get it.
He has
But
to. He
here's-
can't be
yes.
silent.
No, Matt, I get it, Matt. I'm with you. Here's my problem. It's so disingenuous and such full of shit that even I want to beat this guy's ass, and I don't even care about the Redskins.
He's a businessman.
But here's the thing. The behavior described in yesterday's Washington Post article has no place in our franchise or society. Then why the fuck did you let that happen for, God, 15 years? Almost 20 years? You let this thing happen for that long, knowing the high-end officials in your rank, your generals that are running your fucking day-to-day operations. And it's not like this guy's like a Jeremy Jacobs guy. It's not like he lives in Buffalo and he lets his son run the team and he makes his money off vending and stuff. No, he's a hands-on owner. He's a Jerry Jones-like owner. So this guy sitting there, hands-on, probably knows what's going on. Probably has
No
people
pun
in HR
intended.
telling, probably knows.
Hands-on.
Exactly, right. Well, that's the thing. Has people in the HR and the HR manager and blah, blah, blah have said in private conversations, yo, Dan, listen, Chief, this type of shit's happening more often than not. What are we going to do about this? And instead of doing something about it, he lets it continue. I'm sorry. I know you got to put out a statement. I get it. You got to sort of nip this in the bud. But instead of coming out with such a bullshit statement, why do you say what happened in the Post is wrong and we were wrong for letting it happen? I, as the owner of the fucking team, will do everything in my power to change the culture around here. It starts with me. Nope. He puts out, well, the behavior has no place in our franchise or society. Well, fuck me, Schneider. Aren't
Now
you
you're
the
just mocking
fucking
him.
smartest
Now you're
guy
just
in the room?
mocking him.
Oh, he's a prick. And then
George,
here's the other thing.
You need
Hold on,
a
wait.
long-distance dedication. You need a long-distance dedication.
You need a bubble bath.
You need a
Yes,
bath
I
and
need a
some
bubble
candles
bath. I do. I'm going to listen to
with
Kenny
a
G.
Snyder poster.
Dude, I'm going to listen to Kenny G and Yanni and get a sweet Pinot Grigio from the.
I'm gonna get you a Tuukka Rask and a Snyder picture
Don't,
autograph.
Please, I'd burn the both of them. Save your money. So now this is
I'm not
on
gonna pay
behalf.
for it.
This is on behalf of Dan and Tanya, his wife. This is the statement he puts out to the team. This is to the team. So everybody, team, we are sad and disappointed, as you all are, after reading the story in the Washington Post yesterday. On behalf of the organization, we want to apologize to each of you, and to everyone affected by this situation. The actions in the story have no place in our franchise or in society. Really? As you may be aware, when the past issues outlined in the article were initially brought to our attention, they were addressed at the time. No, they fucking weren't, because of the fact that you just waited until this past week to fire some of those guys. But I digress. However, some of these issues were brought forth
Not really.
only in the last few days, and we have subsequently made changes and addressed them as well. Yeah, but you didn't fire anybody before when this was happening, so now you're trying to take credit for firing them before the Post article comes out. Okay, I'll continue. Clearly, there's work to be
Please.
done. No,
Please.
Go ahead.
Oh,
we
I
got-
can't
we got
fucking
we got plenty of
wait.
time.
We
Clearly-
get it. The guy's an
The
asshole.
best thing about this
Hold
conversation
on,
is the ending.
Go for 15
Let me-
years. We
let me-
get it.
best
Okay,
thing about this is-
15 women have come out. We
Yes, but
fucking get it, bro.
Hold
Like,
on.
Jesus.
Hold on. Wait a minute, because the problem is I want to get to a little bit more of this.
I'm afraid you're gonna
Clearly,
explode or shoot your pants.
Both will happen. Clearly, this is work to be done to build a better organizational culture. We need to get better, and the time is now. To create the culture we all want, we need your help. We want you to be part of this process. As we go forward, you will hear more from our leadership team in the near future about this action plan. In closing, we want to thank you for everything you do for this organization. This offseason has been trying and difficult, and your work and commitment means everything. We're committed to ensuring this organization is one of the promised blah, 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 blah. But it ends standard of personal conduct where we all represent the values of inclusiveness, respect, and diversity. Sincerely, Dan and Tanya. Well, guess what, Dan and Tanya, because that to me, I believe that's his wife, are fucking clueless. Because if this was really something you had to do, you shouldn't have to put an apology letter out like this that basically was a longer version of what you reiterated before, Dan Snyder, in your own comment, but are now trying to address the team is in. You didn't just address these allegations recently. You got caught with your fucking pants down, and the Washington Post was going to expose you. And literally, you said, oh, well, shit. We got to tell you, either you're going to resign or you're going to get fired. Some of the guys they let resign, some of the guys they fired to make a point. But nonetheless, all the guys were involved in this sexual harassment scandal, and all of them are now gone. So what does that say for your organization? Oh, we want to try and do, and we're going to be inclusive. No, you're not. You're a shitbag owner who needs to get rid of your team because of the fact you're a shitbag owner. That's it. And the NFL has every right to go conduct detrimental to the NFL and say, Schneider, your 20 years of futility blows. Your leadership and management here as an owner sucks. You're fucking out of here and see you later. That's what if I'm the ownership, if I'm the NFL, I want to force him out. I'm not going to fire him because that's a bad precedent, but you can make his life a living hell that he sells. And the NFL has to approve all ownerships like everything else in the big corporate world. So they find like a Jeff Bezos who'll give him cash out of his pocket for the Redskins. Some big rich guy who's got tons of money and isn't a dickhead. Now, I don't know Bezos if he is or he isn't, but I'm saying not a dickhead like Schneider is. And that's the point. That's the whole point. This guy sucks.
I'm sweating.
I'm dead.
No
you guys
shit.
know.
I don't even know what else. I don't even know I want to come back from that.
I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
No,
that this guy.
No, you're not wrong.
No, you're
you're
not.
just an asshole.
Yes. Yes, I am.
No, I
Very
mean,
I'm just a
looking at
regular
this-
Joe with a regular job.
and a small pecker.
Just your average suburban white Slav. Yeah. Go on.
Well, the thing is with with Snyder, like, no, everything that you're saying, you're not wrong. I mean, he has to come out with a statement. It's a political statement, if that. And now he's changing the name. He is literally fallen on a shitstorm. So no matter what, George, if you really have a personal vendetta against this guy, he bought the Redskins, I think, for $800 million. How much are they worth right now? He's going to make
I
a
would
shit
say
ton of money if he.
$2.5 billion, $2 billion.
He's going to make
easily.
a pretty hefty profit.
Right.
So
Right.
he's going to win no matter what. So for you and your cardiology problem that you're developing right now,
He's gonna have one fucking soon.
I got a line going here. I gotta
Yeah.
slow down here. I gotta.
He had to say so. If he didn't say anything, he'd be shit on. He said something. He's being shit on. But you know what? Right now he's in a world of shit. Dan Snyder right now. I don't envy him. I never did. I thought he was a dickhead earlier, but I don't envy the guy right now. He's in a lot. He's in a lot.
I would not want to be Dan. I'd rather be
No.
Bob Kraft
I'd rather be Bob Kraft
with the
Yeah,
orchid
'cause-
Stasia
in
on
Florida. Yeah.
Yep.
my shoulders.
No, he's got a lot. His target right now, that he's not. He's like a president. No one's gonna like him. Everyone's gonna love him. He's right. He's not. He's gonna do nothing right.
Yep.
Right now, he's got a lot of shit. Maybe the best thing for him to do is just to step down and go, I don't want this. I'm done.
Good. Mike.
George,
That's a
as far as teams being horrible, yeah, they crushed the 80s. I mean, they're unbelievable. Under the ownership, according to the end of 2019 season, he's 142 wins, 193 losses, and some one fucking tie. But I mean, you do have bad owners. I mean, that still have good teams. You know what I mean? So I don't really place 100% of the blame. Look at the fucking coaches he had, too. I mean, the best one he had was Mike Shanahan that actually had a winning record in those 4 years he was there.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I'm trying to build an argument, I'm not putting 100% of the blame on the team record because of him. However, this franchise looks horrible right now. I'm actually, you know what?
Right.
As far as those women, I hope they get everything that they want because that you're right. Sexual harassment, no need for that in the workplace, and that's fucking creepy. If you have some 60-year-old C-level executive talking about some college girl, and you know that guy has probably sons or daughters the same age.
Yep. Yep.
But at the same time, this guy is very powerful regardless. Look at Bill Clinton, got a blowjob from a 22-year-old intern. Didn't even get him fucking get out of the office.
Did not have sexual relations with that young intern. Miss
Lied about it, covered it up, and I
Yeah.
guarantee you there's more to come with his staff doing something similar. I don't have any proof of that. That's just I wouldn't be surprised if that ever came out. But you know what? This shit gets swept under the rug more often than not. And there's nothing that we or you or I can do about it besides this. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to be this guy. He's probably maybe get forced out. I hope he does. I mean, he let it sweep under the rug like every other motherfucker that owns a goddamn corporation.
All these guys are abusing power and using power to abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree. I agree with you. But at the same time,
It's going to be covered up. It'll be covered.
Yeah, it's going to be covered up.
Unfortunately,
those women, I hope, get a big payday. Hey, you're
Hush money.
going to sell the team. Now you got to go deal with the lawsuit that's being against you.
Right.
And I kind of enjoy that the Patriots aren't in the fucking news for the first
Yeah,
time.
right? Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
assholes anymore.
Finally.
Exactly. Like our owner got a hog
Yeah.
smash at Orchids of Asia.
Yeah, I was going to say, organs of Asia or sexual harassment? Well,
Oh,
Bob Kraft's looking pretty
thank-
sexy right now.
I mean, that's,
Thank
that's
God
just,
I'm not Dan Snyder of Washington.
Yeah.
Thank God.
not Dan Schneider. Washington Redskins.
I don't
You know what I mean?
what else we
No,
could do.
Trust me, I'm with you. And
So there's no
That's a
Brady
horrible
in the
Bob Kraft,
news.
sorry.
There's no Kraft in the news. There's none of as far as regular football talk.
Right.
The guy went, gets his hog smash. Impressive that he was able to go twice within 15 hours at his age. I mean,
Well, let me tell you, Matt, it's really not that hard. I mean, at that age, it's really not.
but
That's why Georgia's single, not that hard. Anyways,
Exactly. I'm glad
But that's
somebody
my
get that.
piece with it. That's my piece with it.
Yeah.
Don't get so upset that this guy didn't do anything. It happens more often, and it's unfortunate.
Oh, yeah.
It happens more often than not at any big
Right.
corporation. And maybe I'm thinking that you're also a Redskins fan because you grew up and they were a powerhouse back in the '80s, where not to age you, but at the same
honestly,
time, look at the records in the '70s. They weren't.
I was a
great.
Cowboys fan. I love Tony Dorsett.
Mike, get this guy off the screen.
I love Tony
a
Dorsett.
Cowboys fan from the
Oh.
Village People.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, macho man. Yeah, listen, honestly, I
He'll be
was
the Washington Macho Man.
I was perfect. Yeah, I honestly, I was, I
Maybe
like the
Al didn't
Cowboys.
buy that one.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think
I
everybody
love
was a Cowboys fan back then because they were on. I mean, they were one of the two teams on Thanksgiving. They were on every friggin' Sunday because they're America's team and they were still good. So, yeah, but I mean, and that's also because around here, we couldn't get the fucking Patriots games. Even when they were sold out, we couldn't get the Patriots games. Nobody
That's 'cause they
carried them.
sucked.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you got Giants. Our games
won it.
were Giants games regionally. And it's funny. My mom's, I mean, obviously she's a Patriots fan, but she grew up as an Oakland Raiders fan because Oakland was the AFC team. Sort
Well,
of.
that's a
back in the
perfect
day.
example
Right,
of an
Ken
owner that
Stabler,
fucking sucked. He was a racist asshole,
Well, yeah.
but he still had decent teams.
And his son's a fucking doofus, but let that go. Anyways,
Tim,
that's
why can't I think of the Hall of Famer? Tim Brown, right?
Tim
the Notre
Brown,
Dame
yeah.
guy. That,
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. So yeah, no, I mean, but that's what I'm saying is, there wasn't the Patriots around then. Even though they were around, you couldn't watch them. So you were forced to watch another team, and the Cowboys were the one team that I can vividly remember. Every Sunday, you'd have a Cowboys versus somebody playing every Sunday, probably a 4:00 game. So. For me, that's, and again, I wasn't a fan per se, but if the team I followed, it was them, and obviously this shitty team, but they were never on, and they also wore these bright orange, uniforms that even if they wore that in the middle of a field would still probably get shot by a hunter. That's how terrible that team was back then. But yeah, literally, Dan Schneider took one of the greatest things there, gone. See you later. Took him and run him into the ground. Tampa took one of the shittiest organizations, and now they're going to be, they could potentially be, the tits of the town, going forward if they end up playing a season and Tom Brady can help win them another Super Bowl. So
that town is fucking tits up right about now.
everything. Yeah, Tampa's, definitely all about it.
Talking about the China virus.
Exactly, sir. Yes, sir. Any last parting shots before we call it an evening, gentlemen?
Yeah. Go smoke some weed, bro.
Calm down.
Take an
Jeez.
aspirin or something.
I think George. I think you're done with topics the next 2 or 3 shows. We're gonna have a vote here. I think next week.
We may have to vote you off the island just for 2 weeks.
I think you're suspended.
Background.
I think you have
20 second timeout.
Novid 19. You're suspended. for 2 weeks.
Novid 19. I like that. Yeah. I like that. Novid 19. Okay. Well, here's the problem. We need a 20-second timeout because we have a big announcement, which we're going to get to in a minute, but that involves me. So if you can't get me and put me on timeout, and nobody puts baby in the corner, first of all. So if you put me in the corner,
it's like the California Penal League.
Exactly, right? So we're not going to have a show in a couple weeks? I don't know. You guys have to rethink that. But I am going to go take Mr. Bubbles, grab my Yanni CD, and have a nice glass of Pinot Grigio in the tub. Maybe, actually, you know what? I'm feeling so sexy.
All our followers.
I'm feeling so sexy. I might take a bath in the toilet. That's how good I feel, right? That's how good I feel. I might take a steaming Washington Redskins football team into the toilet and then just sit in it with my Pinot Grigio and Mr. Bubbles and enjoy myself because that's how this team is making me feel right now. Like a
$10, the bottle goes missing, not in the barrel.
Yeah, seriously. And the thought of you enjoying yourself, I don't know really what you meant by that.
Yeah, that's. By the way,
Pretty
you'll never come to my house again. You'll never come to my house ever again.
Only if I have 2 bottles of Pinot Grigio, one for each of us.
I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll see you tonight. You bring Mr. Bubbles.
This is my official resignation from the Armchair Sports Guys.
The only thing that I think about Mr. Bubbles that I always find it totally random is the Rodney Dangerfield Back to School. Everything's always better with Bubbles. Hey, Bubbles, come here. Bubbles comes into the till. But that is the best way to segue because that's a great segue in and of itself. Speaking of fun things to do and Mr. Bubbles, we, like I said, the big announcement, we are going live. That is LIVE live. Nice job, Mike.
A little sign language.
Yeah, a little live,
for our hearing impaired.
Yes. So on the 25th of July, time to be determined. We'll work on the logistics that out. We are going on Facebook Live. So make sure you go to our Facebook page, The Armchair Sports Guys. Also on Instagram, The Armchair Sports Guys. And Twitter, The Armchair, or Armchair_Guys, I should say. And we're going to be live on Facebook, and we're going to do something fun. Like, we all love talking about sports and, love, and me particularly getting my panties in a bunch about a team I really don't give a shit about. However, we're going to do fun. We're doing a fantasy draft, but not just any fantasy draft. If you look at the course of sports and history, you'll see that there are a lot of fun names out there of players. So we decided, let's make a team. Let's see who can come up with the best team that they can draft of players that have funny names. So they can come from any sport, any type of athlete. Could be an extreme sport, could be NFL, NBA, WNBA, soccer, fencing, rowing, archery. Anything at all sports-wise, and they're going to come up with names. So there's 5 of us. So we got 5 teams. We're going to unveil our team names later on this week. And as also, we're going to have 5 rounds. So, after it's all done, have you guys determine who got the best team out of who was drafted. We're going to give you more of this down the road, but I want to make sure you follow us on Facebook at the Armchair Sports Guys and set your ass for a reminder once we set that up that we're going live. So from parts unknown, we're not going to tell you where, but we are going to be going live for this draft show. So we really hope you enjoy that. So please stay tuned for that. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff leading up to next Saturday as well. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of shit talking amongst all of this.
Stay tuned.
We've got team names. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. So again, please stand by and join us there. Also,
we're gonna have a wedding.
Yeah.
Or hanging. Either way, we're gonna have a lot of fun, right?
Hey, great reference. Well done. I love you for that. Only thing that makes that scene better is when Carl Hughes hits him in the face with the metal hand from the knight.
Yeah.
That's the best. Which tells you duel. He picks up clang and he just falls over. Great part. But nonetheless, check please. Table 1, right? But we are going to have a lot of fun. Again, the show may go off the rails like it is right now. You never know. But it's going to be live, not Memorex.
Speaking of rails, how many did you do prior to the show?
I'm doing Mr. Bubbles, baby. I'm doing Mr. Bubbles. So, kids, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad. Okay. So I suggest that you stay tuned. Follow us on all the socials. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. And if there's, again, any topic you want us to talk about, or you think we're a bunch of fucking assholes, send us an email at thearmchairsportsguys@gmail.com. So on behalf of Rich, who had to bounce for a bit, Sean, who could not make it, for Matt O'Brien, for Michael Chance, I am GJ Mitchell signing off, saying again, be good to each other. Don't be dickheads. Wear fucking masks, by the way, okay, people? I want to start going to sporting again soon, all right? Just realize it's not for your protection. It's not for mine. It's for everybody's. Just don't be a dick, all right? I want to watch sports again in a bar with friends. I want to go to a game with 60,000 people cheering and swearing and yelling. Fuck it, I'll drive down to D.C. and go. But I want to go. I want to be able to do this. So be smart people, okay?
They suck. I'm not watching them.
Fuck who cares? But anyway, that's it. On behalf of Matt, Mike, Rich, and Sean, again, I am GJ signing off saying good night. Thank you again for joining us. And we'll see you soon. And don't forget, mark in your calendars, July 25th. Armchair Sports Guys.
George, go get some CO2.
Woo!
Jesus
CO2
calm down.
and have a Senka.
How about a Fresca?
Have 2.
All right, have a good night. Stay safe, everybody. Be good.